Possibly a lot of stuff they did in a pretty short order. Like you were saying, it seems to be getting better and better all the time. So.
Yeah. Okay. We have some with the What a great lineup.
Oh.
Don't start something you can't. Be racing around.
What'd you say, Scott? The rose between two horns?
That's it.
Oh my. We went there.
YouTube forever.
Immortalized. Okay, so let's call our Public Safety Committee to order. Roll call.
Council Fitz,
Yes.
Council Renzel,
Here?
Mayor Reed,
Present.
Council Armstrong,
Here.
Council Kelly,
Here.
Council Moore,
Here.
Council McFarland.
Okay, item 1, reports from department representatives and discussion with councilors. Number 1, report from the Parking Violations Bureau for April 2019. Anything other than what we got in our reports you want to, nothing? Okay. We all got those reports. Anybody have any questions? Okay.
Just regarding that, Chief, how much pushback has our traffic officer received from the public at all? And
As far as not wanting her to enforce.
yeah,
ordinances.
and just
Some. Not a popular thing to do.
and has she noticed at all people doing the 2-hour move
Oh, yeah.
the car, move the car, move the car, going out every 4 hours until?
Yes.
We haven't sold very many permits. I don't have the exact number. I guess around 80 or so. Which is kind of surprising. I don't think the county has been buying them for their jurors, but apparently the jurors aren't parking on the streets anymore because I think we'd be hearing a holler of people getting tickets. There was an era there that they were getting tickets, so I think they're very quickly told to make sure they park in Oak or somewhere else.
Okay. Number 2, agenda items brought forward from departments to be approved by committee and recommended to council. All right, number 1, whereas the city of Plattsburgh entered into a development agreement with Prime Plattsburgh LLC, hereafter Prime, on April 1st, 2019 for Prime to study, design, seek, and obtain permit approval, purchase, and then construct a mixed-use development on the real property located at 22 Durkee Street in the city of Plattsburgh, and whereas the development agreement stipulates that the Common Council shall approve the preliminary plans generated by Prime during the pre-permitting and design phase of the project, and whereas Prime has presented sufficient preliminary plans to the Common Council for the review and comment, now therefore it is hereby resolved the Common Council accepts and approves the preliminary plans submitted by Prime, subject to permitting requirements and seeker review by the city's Planning Board, Zoning Board of Appeals, and/or County Planning Board. Number 2, requests from Police Chief Ritter that the mayor is authorized to sign a new contract with Complus Data Innovations, Inc. for parking ticket collection services at a cost of 17% of the revenue. This is a 0.5% reduction to the current contract, and they will provide all new equipment, including desktop computers, handheld ticketing software, hardware, software, and maintenance of same. Number 3, request from the city Chamberlain to adjust 2019 general fund budget by an increase of $3,885.60, equally in estimated revenues and appropriations for the insurance proceeds claimed for the repairs of a damaged police vehicle. Number 4, request for formation of Plattsburgh Sustainability Task Force. 5, request that the mayor is authorized to sign an agreement between the New York Municipal Power Agency, or NYMPA, and the Plattsburgh Municipal Lighting Department, PMLD, regarding procurement of renewable energy credits, RECs, or RECs, to be used by Plattsburgh to achieve a 100% renewable energy electric supply. 6, request that the mayor is authorized to sign a deed and related documents to merge tax map parcel 207.20-7-14, 40 Bridge Street, into tax map parcel 207.20-7-15, 22 Durkee Street. 7, request from Police Chief Ritter for a police department employee to attend New York State Homeland Security and Emergency Services initial response to active shooter training from June 23rd through the 25th, 2019 in Oriskany, New York. The total cost will not exceed $155, and will be expensed out of the Asset Forfeiture Fund. The lodging and training will be provided by the Department of Homeland Security. Does anybody want to talk about any of these, or do you just want to wait
Well,
till,
I think we need to move them first and then.
I don't know if anybody wants to
discussion
talk about it?
to discuss it.
Move second, then discuss, yeah.
I'll move it.
Second?
I'll second that.
Council Gibbs?
Yep.
Council Ansel?
Yes,
Mayor Reed?
Yes.
Okay.
This is what we're now discussing, having discussion. I can explain some of them. First of all, item one, obviously, we're going to spend some time at the committee meeting, or the council meeting tonight, talking about the prime. Keep in mind that what we're doing at this point is merely allowing this process to continue to permitting. We want to be assured at this point that what prime originally proposed is consistent with what they still propose. Obviously, a lot of you believe it's been really enhanced quite a bit. But our responsibility is to make sure that what we agreed to a few months ago is being met now. But this is just the beginning of a process through the Planning and Zoning Board. Item two, Chief Ritter has assured us that the ComPlus, and Matt's looked at this too, the ComPlus technology be consistent with the kiosk system. You just had a meeting with the 4 different groups who responded to the RFPs for the kiosk just
Alright.
today.
So that was my question, how would the two mesh once we get the other up and running?
Yeah, it was during the meeting about integration between the city's existing platforms and what they're talking about, and none of them expressed any hesitation that that would be a problem.
They
So,
probably do that elsewhere.
yeah, ComPlus is a fairly widely used platform for ticketing enforcement, so they built most of their platforms so it does easily integrate
Right.
with.
And, you know, I don't think I fully investigated any backup here, so you will please accept my apology, but could you give me the background to the decision to go with this company and how that all worked?
We've had ComPlus for over a decade, well over a decade. They've been the,
Oh, okay, so
Yeah,
I
this is not a new thing.
read
This is-
something in there that wasn't there. It's just a new contract, period.
Renewal.
And this is
Renewal.
to upgrade our system to meet the needs of what would be any sort of kiosk system.
Right, all right, gotcha.
It allows the use of data instead of plugging it in and downloading it, to be truly integrated into a functional network.
Sounds good. At a 5.5%.
Yeah, and they took a little bit off, so.
Okay.
Chief, were we up for renewal of that contract, or was that something that you asked them specifically for because we knew that the system was coming?
This was something that we saw coming, and it seemed to do it in advance of that.
Okay, well, thank you.
Yeah, no problem.
Item 4, the actual Sustainability Task Force resolution is longer. It's included in your main agenda. And Councilor Sneller and Councilor Armstrong have been working on getting the wording of all that correct, and I think it's everybody's satisfied
you.
to this point. Item 5, I think we talked about this last week. We had the opportunity to choose who supplies our RECs, our overage extra power to be renewable energy credits. This is something that NIMPA and MEAU worked together with us when they came to town about 2 weeks ago. And there's a slight cost increase if we do it this way. But it's actually probably borne primarily on the people who have the largest impact on pushing us over the limit, which is the cryptocurrency operators. So this is something, some details we'll work through with the Public Service Commission. Item 6, when you recall when we had the former gas station removed, that property now is being merged into the larger property in Turkey Street, so it can all be accessed through the new development. And I think items 3 and 7 speak for themselves. But if there's any other discussion or questions, Matt's here now, so.
Oh, yeah,
he'll
Bill,
answer
have we
more
gotten
questions.
any permit applications for new cryptocurrency mining operations or expanded Can you see mining operations?
We did just get a permit application for one on Arizona Avenue. It's got to go through the zoning and planning process, and actually went to the county planning board. They deemed that didn't have enough information, so it's kind of stalled in the process.
Okay.
He contacted, I think, all of us.
Okay, any other discussion? Okay, item number 3, old business. Is there any old business? Well, I'm going to bring up the old business, which is the animal contracts that we've been working on. So I did forward the names of 4 people to Chief Ritter and Mayor Reed, who are DEC certified officers to handle nuisance animals. And Chief Ritter said that he's going to make contact and see if any of them will be interested. So I'm hoping that'll be resolved. Yeah, that'll be resolved very soon. They were all very eager, so I'm hoping that will all be taken care of. Yay. And I think that's all I have for old business. Do you have anything that we want to talk about?
Just bring up, and we discussed it earlier, I had someone ask me about the banners that are on Route 9 at the end of South Platte Street, and someone was concerned because there is one there for an actual business, and so and we spoke to Joe, and they're going to look at it tomorrow instead of nonprofit. I know that we have the policy to reserve them for nonprofit. And do we know what the time span is between that they're allowed to put it up and the event? Is it 30
I
days?
recall when we looked into a couple years ago that it was supposed to be some event occurring within the next 30 days. But I don't know if
There are
that's...
actual sign laws in place, I guess we need to review,
Mhm.
because that stipulates the duration.
What are we talking about right now?
The banners.
The banners that are along Route 9 at the end of
Do you know
South
where the
Platte.
tow
The
place
old-
is?
Oh, okay.
On
Yeah.
the old base, right at the point there.
Okay.
Are we in old business or new business?
We're in old.
Okay.
Okay, any other old business? Any new business?
I have something. I met this week with Dana Isabella and Danielle O'Mara from Tobacco Free, Clinton, Essex, Franklin. And it's always really inspiring to talk to them. But what we discussed was how now that we have this revitalized law that includes e-cigarettes along with tobacco prohibitions in public spaces, that, you know, we think of a way to get out the message that Plattsburgh is trying to be healthy and, you know, tobacco free throughout all of our public spaces. And they encouraged the city to take a total, take an inventory of the spots that we might like to have the signs that they will produce. And I will, you know, kind of try to organize that effort about how to come up with the number, because they are looking for an order to be placed May 31st.
What are the signs?
And if it's, pardon me?
What are these signs?
These are no smoking. This is a tobacco-free zone. I'm going to have to forward you the designs.
Okay.
But you may not recall, and maybe I'm just imagining it, but when we were reviewing the law, Dana Isabella had come to us to say that these signs would be available to the city free of charge in order to promote tobacco-free zones in our city and remind folks in a friendly way that we're trying to have a smoke-free environment in our public spaces. So 3 areas that, you know, similar signs in the past have been put are, you know, downtown, along the sidewalks, you know, maybe places where people would be gathered for events and such. The rec areas like the parks, the beach, and around the
Park,
oval gym.
Especially around the park.
Yeah.
After watching
Right.
all those kids and Scott take out those gallons of Ziploc
Well,
bags
you know,
of
I
cigarette
want to know
boxes.
something. I've been at the gym before, and somebody I was working with said that they've had to tell people not to vape in the building.
I
So
believe
it's
it.
interesting how, hi there, Scott. Hi, thank you,
Speak
Scott
of the
Bush.
devil, yeah.
Pardon me, I'm talking about the availability of signs and trying to get a tally of how many we want and where we want to put them. So I'm basically just bringing this up to say this should be on your radar. Hopefully, it's a project that I can help, complete by the end of next week. And I'll keep you posted.
In kind of the same vein, but also kind of opposite, I was on Protection Avenue the other day, and right outside the monopole, and there are cigarette butts everywhere. And that's a place where people are smoking a lot, and I thought about the smoking ban, and people are going to continue to smoke there, but I was looking around, and there's no place
To dispose.
to dispose of
Yes,
cigarette butts
yes.
other than throwing them in the alley, and there might be thousands of cigarette butts there, for all I know. So I was thinking maybe, even though the smoking ban forbids it, maybe there are certain spots where we'd want some of those things to empty or dispose of cigarette butts. Because cigarette butts are the most littered item on the planet.
You
And
bet.
they certainly aren't biodegradable and aren't going anywhere. And,
No, and they release a lot of toxic chemicals into the environment
yeah.
because they're full of them.
So I'm thinking maybe we'd want to choose a couple of places to put some of those as well.
And we'll do that when we put out recycling containers too, right?
Sure.
Okay.
Okay, anything else for new business? I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, our meeting is,
Council Gibbs?
oh, yes.
Renzo?
Sorry.
Yes.
Mayor Reed?
Yes.
Okay, meeting adjourned.
If you like, we can begin our work session a little bit early for the Common Council tonight. Chance to discuss more extensively any items on the agenda. I know we're going to have a good presentation on the prime proposal. And save that to a little bit later so the
All
public
right.
can be here to
Do you want to do
participate.
council reports then? Because I've got a request.
Yeah, let's begin with council reports, governance strategy and city operations, Councilor
All
Armstrong.
right, so Jeff Moore and I had another conversation with OpenGov, I guess it was last week, and then we had a follow-up conversation with the mayor. We're still kind of deliberating how and when, and I guess still if, that software purchase is something we're interested. Now we're thinking more in terms of whether or not it might appear in our next budget. But in order to do that, we decided that we'd like to arrange a meeting with Chamberlain Marks. Woo-hoo. And so I'll be shooting you an email, Richard, and we'll try to get something organized. Just trying to answer a few remaining questions. All right?
You gonna send that through the mayor?
Of course. All right. Thank you.
City infrastructure, Councilor Moore.
Yes, we do have a big update.
Yeah.
We're working on Cornelia Street as we speak. Really optimistic how that's going to turn out. I see there's still complaints in the paper, but it is in progress.
I'm so happy it's being done. I mean, it's,
Have they laid any, I haven't been up there.
It's all been
Have they laid anything?
ground now, grew.
What's that?
it's been ground up.
I know it's ground out, but I don't know if they started laying.
They won't pave until Tuesday, probably, Monday being a holiday, so they hope to complete it Tuesday and Wednesday. They need pretty dry conditions, they're afraid of rain today and tomorrow. So they expect to be able to complete it in 2 days, Tuesday and Wednesday. I've been going up there every day, because I live just down the street from it, so I go up there every night, and there was Andrew all working away, even with his sore foot and everything. He looked like a big fluorescent banana. He was head to toe with fluorescent clothing on to make sure he doesn't get hit by a car again. And then he's even shoveling the grindings that we take out of the sewage culverts and everything. I said, come on, put that shovel down. You don't need to be doing that. But he was just so anxious. And the guys there are just doing a great job there. As you know, we're doing most of it in-house, and they're getting an awful lot of experience. They're just doing an incredible job. The grinding went very, very well. Took a little bit longer because the new $750,000 machine that we commissioned for the group that brought it in failed on the first or second night, so we ended up doing it for another half night last night as well. But it went well. One other thing, you may recall you approved the city to purchase a grinding tool for a Bobcat. So there's two ways to grind the road. It had this big high-tech computer-operated machine, but that can't really do the circle around the culverts in the road. So we do those with a Bobcat that we purchased a grinder, a small grinder that can go around and do that individually. And that also gets used when they find a relatively large section of potholes. They'll now use that machine to now square out an entire section and pave the entire section. You've probably seen that
New
being
York
used
Road.
more. So that's really paying for itself for the city as well. So we're all very proud of the DPW and what they're managing to do. There was a terrible misnomer I saw on social media claiming that we're doing things like finding a more economical way to provide for the tents in Monument Park by somehow shortchanging the road budget. Nothing could be further from the truth, and we fully discussed that at the time in council, that we're actually having savings from our road budget by doing things better and smarter and coming in way under budget. There's nobody's making choices that are going to reduce the amount of roads being done each year. I know that's very important to us all. To see that kind of misinformation perpetuated is really a shame. But I'm just very proud of the people that are working for the city and doing such a great job out there. So it'll be very exciting on Tuesday and Wednesday. Go up there and watch for yourself. It's a lot of fun when they really get rolling with the pavement.
I just had a comment on that too, Mayor. We're utilizing all the available man hours, so even if we threw more money at it, we do not have the people to do it. So we're doing
Right.
all
That's
we
right.
possibly can.
That was the
That's
point
right.
that Mike Bissett made last week, that they had a projection and then recalculated that projection about what could be accomplished this season. So it is unfortunate that people are not doing their homework.
And I wouldn't be surprised if at the end of the season, the men and women down at DPW managed to get one more little section of road done. They did that last year, they did that the year before. So I wouldn't be surprised if they did that and exceeded expectations one more time. But they're certainly meeting expectations and well under budget too, so we should be very proud of them. Any other reports for Councillor Moore?
No, that'll take care of mine.
Finance and Budget, Councillor Kelly?
Our 5-year plan is due to be voted on next week. And last week and the week before, I painted a rather grim picture of our financial situation going forward. But I think I've found some solutions, and I've had some really good suggestions from folks like Elizabeth and Patrick to help me come up with those savings or help all of us come up with those savings. But Mayor, if you're available tomorrow, could we possibly meet to discuss some of these ideas?
That'd be great.
Okay, I'll call Beth and try to get on your calendar for tomorrow.
Perfect.
Thank you.
Public Safety, Councillor Gibbs?
Well, we just concluded our public safety meeting, and the things that we had discussed are already moved to our agenda this evening. But I did forget to ask Chief Ritter, when or if you find a resolution to this nuisance animal control, if you could funnel that through the mayor and just keep me updated so that I know. I'd really appreciate that.
Will do.
Okay, thank you.
Plattsburgh Public Library, Councillor Ansel?
There was a meeting on Tuesday Again, I was unable to attend because of a conflict with another commitment. But I don't know if you were able to go.
I thought it was next week, I'm sorry.
So,
Okay.
no report other than that.
And MLD Board President, Councilor McFarland?
Yeah, we've had a lot of great stuff going on at MLD lately, actually. Rider A seemed to have worked out pretty well for us, and I certainly tip my hat to Mr. Tracy for that. The one I'm most excited about is on our agenda for tonight, so I won't waste too much time talking about it now, because we can discuss it when we get to it, but I'm very excited about that, and I hope that gets passed. The mayor's 58-point plan, very excited about that. Talking about bringing more renewable energy, introducing solar panels, which like a year ago was a non-starter. And hopefully we can get that going. We're talking about bike shares as well, which may even help alleviate some transportation issues in the city. So I'm really excited with a lot of the things going down and happening at MLD, and certainly the item we have at tonight's agenda is a good underscore of that.
And you're gonna have a meeting for the MLD next week.
Yeah, sorry. So we're having our MLD meeting. I think it's our first MLD meeting since February, maybe January. So everyone mark your calendars, and if you can't make it, make sure to save it on YouTube because it should be very entertaining.
Yes, actually, I think there's gonna be some real groundbreaking things that Mr. Tracy can go over with us at that meeting too, so it's pretty exciting. And somewhat related to that, I'd spoken with Chief Ritter about a month ago. New York is very progressive in a lot of ways, but where they're not progressive is in electric bicycles and electric scooters. You see them on campus all the time now. But New York State has never made proper provisions for allowing for these sorts of things or extending the rules to incorporate the newer technologies. There are some state laws that are relatively antiquated. They throw electric bicycles in with mopeds and motorcycles and all that kind of stuff. They're a very different thing. The city doesn't actually have its own code for that. There is a senator from the Bronx or Brooklyn that is trying to produce a new revised state code for electric bicycles and electric scooters. And actually she would like to defer to cities to figure out, you know, what's going to work well for you in a campus community like ours. That might work out a different solution than in downtown New York City. But in the meantime, we do want to figure out a way to foster people to do these alternate forms of transportation, especially if it can allow our students to better access the downtown stuff. So we're going to work on that, and Chief Ritter is apprised of it, and he has no great sense that he wants to go around applying antiquated codes, but at the same time he has to do his job as well. So we're trying to work through getting some alternatives on that as well. So thank you for bringing that up. Any other reports anybody would like to offer this time? The folks from Prime are here if you'd like to speak with them a little bit now and then a little bit more in the meeting, or anything else you'd like to raise during the agenda. They anticipated doing a presentation at 5:30, but they can do a
5:30.
more
Oh, okay.
extended one now if you like, and then another one later on as well for the public.
If it was,
Just wondering, might we be able to go into a quick executive session about a matter of litigation? Just kind of an update, to get an update,
Sure. Yeah, you need to make that motion.
motion?
It's, if it's pending litigation, we should name the litigation, or if it's potential, then just some kind of identifier.
Regarding the energy plant in the town, Falcon Sea.
Yep. So you just make a motion to enter to an executive
Enter
session. to
executive
discuss
session.
Pending litigation involving topics.
So moved.
Moved by Councilor Ansel, second by Councilor Moore. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Jesse, how are you? Well, there's a couple factors. Months ago, that was May of
Thank you.
By
So I never got one of these. They're not usually like this. Is this supposed to replace the green? Because it was with my stuff and it has to do with my committee, but it's not the green form. So I'm assuming that's not.
Yeah, I would, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Looks like there was miscalculations, there was some additional money, exceeded the 290 by $60. So you're signing for $60, I guess, but
Yeah, and all the documentation's there. I just I don't usually get it like that. So.
I've never seen that either. But I think that's its purpose. Is to
Jeff can't sit down until Bachelor comes in, I take it.
Yeah. Hi, Georgie.
We're here for a short meeting tonight, looking at this.
Oh, no. I already made arrangements for my boy would be taken care of because I said, I'm going to be here a while.
Ready to go? Councilman, so you want to return us from executive session?
Make a motion to return from executive session.
On the litigation between,
Get your gavel there.
thank you, folks.
Make a motion to return from executive session.
Second that?
No.
And the issue was litigation between the town and the city of Plattsburgh over Falcon Seaboard. Second by Moore. All in favor?
Aye.
Actually, we don't need a vote to return to executive session. Do you want to continue on with the work session then? Any other issues like that? Further discussion?
Yeah, we
Counselor?
didn't really have a chance to talk about D, which is the formation of the Sustainability Task Force. Obviously, you've all studied up on it, but I would just like to preface my comments by saying that it was a gratifying process to work with the mayor and dean on who should serve and what the function would be and how this entity will cooperate and collaborate with other community entities. One is named the Climate Smart Community Coalition, and I've already begun the process of bringing together various environmental groups throughout our area to come together and assist this task force in implementing some of its goals community-wide. So I just wondered if you had any questions, comments?
It was very comprehensive and detailed and spelled out clearly, you know, on page 4 of the document, A through G, who the various people will be and.
Mayor, would you like to comment on, you know, just kind of your view of how the climate smart communities and your 58-point plan are going to work together?
Sure. This resolution, we can't obviously establish a community group. That's they'll be separately doing that. What we can do is establish a group that's going to work within the city administration on what the city hall can do, and we view our part as being kind of a spoke in this coalition that Councilor Armstrong is helping to form also as the hub and involve many more community partners. But that doesn't mean there won't be some community members serving on this. As you see, the list of people we'd like to appoint to it include a mix of city staff, city councilors, but also a couple of community experts to help inform what the city can do in this. What the city can do in this is make sure our buildings are converted to LED lighting and are built according to modern energy, sustainability standards, et cetera, things that we outlined in the 58-point plan. So I know some of you express an interest, certainly Councilor Armstrong has expressed an interest and is willing to serve as the first coordinator for our city committee as well. So we don't view this as the monolithic community committee, but rather a group that's going to work with that committee and have overlap with that coalition, so we in the city can do our part.
Yeah, I see the Climate Smart Community Coalition is functioning both as an advisory body and one that initiates its own action in terms of reducing emissions and addressing conservation efforts in the broader community. And that the task force then will be mainly focused on reducing all of those things within the city itself, in city operations.
I had a question on D. It says a member of a local not-for-profit corporation or related organization or affiliation is nominated by the mayor. Who do you envision that's going to be? You say, because it's just kind of generic, a local not-for-profit. So is there anything specific you had in mind
In
for that?
related organization, with relationship to what?
Yeah. So I was just curious about what that was
So I
going
was
to be.
trying to think you saw
Well,
the value in that.
I was interested in, for two reasons, having representation from any nonprofit that had a large operation, like, let's say, the hospital, or, you know, one of the nursing homes, to serve as an advisor to this, you know, city-centric project, but also with the aim toward kind of spreading the idea of how we can be a more environmentally sustainable community, and that might then lead to some kind of ripple effect in those other institutions. So we haven't identified who these people will be. The mayor's going to be in charge of looking at that person, but we were trying to find stakeholders from the various aspects of the community that we felt had some valuable perspectives and interests in this project.
Notice also that whereas the city's task force is relatively small, only 7 members, the community coalition is probably going to be quite large and very, very inclusive. You might ask why such a small number of members. We actually hope to be able to move very nimbly and quickly. As a matter of fact, you already see on the agenda tonight one of the initiatives from the 58-point plan to move to 100% renewable energy for the city of Plattsburgh from our current 97%. We're only going to be the 7th city in the entire country that's managed to attain that goal. And, so we want to be able to take some of these opportunities that are presented to us from our association with MEAU or with NIMPA, et cetera, and what we can do internally with MLD or with the building codes people, et cetera, and move relatively quickly to allow the broader coalition to achieve some real successes very, very quickly right out of the blocks towards their goal of having us be one of those bronze or silver communities we talked about recently.
And that's with regard to the DEC Climate Smart Communities program, where we'll be ticking off all of our actions and registering them with the state.
That's all I have for that.
Okay. Oh, I have to take this. Okay.